Hey everyone, this is Tim Laskis, host of the Tim Laskis Podcast Show, premiering February 2017 on iTunes and Stitcher. This is for all of you out there who are entrepreneurs, sidepreneurs, or just want to better yourself or maybe even be entertained. Because it's an interview-based podcast show that has the best from business, professional sports, and television. Yes, television. So if you like to see some television stars, actually you won't be able to see anybody because it's a podcast show. It's audio only. You want to hear some of them? Be sure to tune in. And in my last little YouTube video, I did an introduction of myself and gave you a great story of how I went from graduating at the back of my high school class, almost failing out of high school, to graduating with honors from Rutgers University, Newark campus. It's almost unheard of. It's a great story. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It's wonderful. And in this one, I'm going to tell you another story of how I had all that I had want to accomplish and achieve, and I gave it up. I gave it up and I moved to Costa Rica. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So let me share this quick story with you. Well, in 2003, I had graduated with my doctorate in clinical psychology with an emphasis in organizational behavior. So that's a Ph.D. degree in clinical psychology, and I had this specialty of organizational behavior, looking at basically, the psychology of the workplace and motivation and leadership, things like that. So I was working in the clinical world. I was getting burned out after I graduated. It was in, I think, May of 2005. My brother was coming out to California where I was living to go surfing. Every year we took a week off and we just went on a surfing adventure. And so that particular year he said, Tim, let's go somewhere different. I love California. I love surfing there, but we've done that for a couple of years in a row. So let's go somewhere new, exotic. Let's go to Costa Rica. Costa what? Costa Rica. I didn't know even where Costa Rica was. I had to look it up on the map. And then I realized Costa Rica, they mostly speak Spanish. I don't speak hardly any Spanish. And he said, that's okay, because I do. I said, fine, let's go. So there we went. We jumped on a plane, went down to Costa Rica. And during our trip, we went from San Jose, which is the capital. We went down to the coast on the Pacific side and several different places. And I ended up meeting this young lady in a restaurant. And I remember we went out to eat, and my brother went to the restroom. He left the table, and there were two ladies sitting behind us, and one of the women left, and it was just a young lady sitting there. And for whatever reason, I'm typically very shy, but I turned around and I started talking to her. Said, "Hi, I'm Tim. I'm from the United States. How are you?" And went into all this detail. And after a couple minutes, she looked at me, said something in Spanish, and I thought, crap. She didn't understand anything I said. She didn't speak English. So then when my brother came back, he translated. We just had a great time. We had dinner together. We went out dancing. And then we were I was going to find her at the end of the night and to get her information, her email and contact information. I lost her. So for a couple of days, I scoured the town looking for her. And on the last night that we were there, I found her in the same restaurant. We exchanged information. We kept in contact. I ended up going out to Costa Rica almost every month in 2005 after that trip to visit her for a couple of days. And so then I had decided, man, I'm moving to Costa Rica. This is the girl of my dreams. And I gave up the comfy job that I had worked for. I went to school, went to get my doctorate for 5 long years, and finally had that great state job with a pension and insurance and all that good stuff. And I decided to give it up, and I was going to move to Costa Rica because I had the house, I had the cars, I had everything that I needed. But I didn't have anyone special in my life. And this young lady, she was something special. And so I remember telling my friends and family and colleagues for the first time, I said, I'm moving to Costa Rica. And they said, you're what? Have you lost your mind? Or are you the one that needs medication and not your clients in the facility that you work at? And I thought, and I said, it's possible. Maybe I do, but no. I'm following my dreams. I've trusted my intuition up to this point, and this is something that I want to do. And I want to write a book. I want to go into business for myself. I want to start coaching. I want to start doing some organizational consulting, executive coaching, and I want to try to work for myself. And so I sold my house, sold my cars. I sold or gave away everything that wouldn't fit into a few suitcases, quit my job, boarded a plane in January of 2006, and off I went to Costa Rica to start a new life. And let me tell you, it was one of the most liberating moments of my life. No longer did I have this job that I hated, that I couldn't stand to go to, where I was burned out, where I felt chained to. I just felt free. And in addition to the job that I didn't like and not having to do that, it was the freedom of not having all this stuff. It's amazing how much stuff that we accumulate over the years. Look around in your house. Look around in your closets. How much stuff do you have? Check out your attic, your garage. How much stuff do you have that you think, man, I could use that one day? Or I'll get back to scuba diving. I haven't done it in 15 years, but I'll get back to it. I have a rule. If I haven't looked at it, touched it, used it in the past 3 months, I get rid of it. So that's my tip for you for getting rid of stuff. Declutter. So anyway, off I went to Costa Rica, and it was fantastic. And all my friends, family, colleagues, they thought I was a fool. They thought I was an idiot. And my now wife, who we were married in Costa Rica in April of 2006, so I was there a couple of months. Many of my friends and family and colleagues, they came down to see what was going on. I invited them to the wedding, and they were curious. And when they got there, when they met my wife, they said, man, I understand why you came down. And there was one particular person who really didn't support me. And I had invited him because we were pretty close. And he said, man, I didn't really support you back then, but it didn't have anything to do with you. It had to do with my own fear of being able to do something as bold as you, to be able to leave everything behind. I dream of doing that kind of stuff, but I could never have the courage. And when you said you were doing it, man, I felt threatened, but it was my own fear. It was nothing about you. And, that made a big impact, because I think fear controls a lot of what we do, what we say, who we meet. It impacts our journey in life, how far we make it in life, because a lot of times we don't take that extra step because of fear. And so I didn't let fear control me. I was fearful, of course. Yeah, I thought about, man, what do people think? Of course I thought about, what am I going to do for money? But yet, I didn't let that hold me back. And so I lived in Costa Rica. I surfed. I finished writing a book titled Finding Your Costa Rica, 5 Powerful Tips to Personal, Professional, and Financial Success. And we had a great time. It was fantastic. I loved it. And here I was, in my early 30s, and I had left everything from behind. And many of my friends that I met in Costa Rica were expats. They were retired. And we used to get together in the mornings, and we would talk politics. We would drink coffee, Costa Rican coffee, best in the world. Cafe Brit. Check it out. Go online and look for Cafe Brit. Man, they don't sponsor me or anything, so I'm not getting a dime from that. But I can attest it's one of probably the best coffee I've ever had. So these were my friends. We got together and we just talked politics. We talked about stories from the States. They were all much older than me, and I was the young guy. And it was just fine. And man, I'm glad that I took that adventure. I'm glad that I don't have to ever look back and go, I wonder what it would be like if I had moved to Costa Rica, because I went out there and I did it. So that's my story of Costa Rica, of leaving my secure job and selling my house, my cars, and giving away everything. And man, let me tell you, it's awesome. And so you need to step out of your box, follow your dreams, That's my story. I have many others that are coming, so be sure to check them out.